but know it's time for the show.
Mafia, what's going on? Welcome into your Saturday night. It's already October, Akeem. Does it feel like it's fall to you before we get going here?
Nah, it doesn't. The time, it seems like that 60 seconds is speeding up a lot quicker than it did when I was growing up. But how you doing? How you doing, DM3?
I'm good, man. Pretty soon it'll be dark at like 3:15. So
right.
I'm good. It's Saturday. Thank you all for joining us every Saturday night. Billsology here on the Built in Buffalo Network, YouTube, Facebook. We are on Twitch now and on X. So we got a loaded show. Obviously, the rivalry unis are going to be unveiled by the Bills tomorrow. We could touch on that for a little bit. I believe that the Bills have kind of oversaturated social media this week by posting it every 45 minutes, saying it's a whiteout. We're going to talk about 𝐸𝐿 Diggs coming back to Buffalo. A little bit of talk about 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐿 and 𝐷𝐾𝐿. I have an interesting topic that I brought up in our group chat this week that I do kind of want to bring up here and kind of get Akeem's thoughts on it. We'll talk about the Bills injury report, keys to victory. We'll do our predictions and usual suspects of who needs to step up and who needs to play a big role in this game. First off, Akeem, let me ask you this. Are you a fall pumpkin connoisseur? Are you a Starbucks pumpkin spice latte, fall beers, or is that something you partake in?
No, I don't partake in the exotic flavors that be coming out in Starbucks and in Dunkin' Donuts. I'm more of a iced mocha latte
all right.
Kind of person. But in the mornings I'll get my coffee, even though I'm not supposed to have it. I can't help but to have it. I gotta have my coffee in the mornings. Other than that, nothing exotic. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I'll partake in pumpkin spice something here and there, but I'm not like people wait for that stuff like all year. How about this? Because I had an interesting conversation. I bought a water bottle because my wife's been on me about drinking more water. How much water do you drink in a day? Like typically, like how much?
You know what? I've been drinking a lot more water lately. I notice I drink more water
during football season
when I'm sleeping. It's crazy, right?
Really?
Because when I sleep, I'll wake up and I drink 2 bottles of water. I'll go back to sleep. Because I drunk them 2 bottles of water, I gotta wake up to use the bathroom about another hour and a half, and I do the whole thing all over again. So it's a vicious cycle throughout the night. I drink a lot of water.
So water's causing you to lose sleep, is what you're saying. That's what you're saying.
That's what it sounds like.
All right. So I know you wanted to talk about 𝐸𝐿 Diggs, and I feel like it's been everywhere this week. I think a lot of people had this game circled on the schedule when it came out, not just because of the rivalry unis and it's a Sunday night game, prime time, but Diggs' first game in Buffalo. Now, to me, it's been 2 years, right? It's been 2 years 2 seasons since he's been traded. All that stuff. I think it's kind of water under the bridge at this point right now. The Bills have moved on in a different direction offensively. We have everybody eats. What are your thoughts? Because you wanted to talk about the fact that, do you think he's going to get booed? Should he get booed? Like, what's your overall thoughts on 𝐸𝐿 Diggs coming back and the impact it might have on this game?
First of all, I want to say, about 𝐸𝐿 Diggs, we have to appreciate what we had when we had him. When we had him, we had one of the best wide receivers in this NFL. Not only did Josh Allen made 𝐸𝐿 Diggs achieve higher heights, obviously 𝐸𝐿 Diggs did the same for Josh Allen as well. And I do believe if one day he is inducted to the Hall of Fame, it would have to be with the Buffalo Bills. I would think. I would think. But I don't like. I didn't like the antics throughout the course of his tenure, especially at the end of his tenure with the Buffalo Bills. I feel like if he was more of a of a professional, I believe he would still be in the Buffalo Bills uniform, but because of the antics that he caused upon himself, caused the team to make a business decision and trade him and get rid of the antics in the locker room distraction that can mess up the flow and the camaraderie of the team. And because of that, I'm booing Stephon Diggs. I appreciate him. I love what he did for the Buffalo Bills. I still love the player in Stephon Diggs. He's one of my favorite players today, but because he's coming back to Highmark Stadium and because of the antics he put on display, which caused his departure, I'm absolutely going to be booing Stephon Diggs tomorrow night. I'm sorry.
I think the biggest key factor is that he plays for the Patriots. That's they're all going to get booed, right? I mean, maybe he gets more than some of the other players, but what about Mac Hollins? I saw a comment come through in the live chat. What about Mac Hollins? What kind of ovation do you think that he gets coming back to Buffalo? I mean, it was only 1 year, so it wasn't like the 4-year that Diggs had, the 4-year career that he had. But what about Mac Hollins?
I think Mac Hollins might get a standing ovation.
Really?
Yeah, I think he's going to be appreciated at Highmark Stadium. I mean, who knows? Who knows until it actually happens? But I don't, of course, fans are going to be fans. But if I was to take a poll or take a guesstimate on who would get more cheers tomorrow, I think Mac Hollins will actually get more cheers than Stephon Diggs. We'll see what happens.
You think there's anything that transpires in the game? You know how Mac is Mac, right? And he likes to bring the aura and he likes to do all the extra stuff. Do you think that there's a chance that happens in the game tomorrow, whether he makes a block or he catches a pass or special teams play? What's your thoughts? You think that might happen tomorrow?
I think it's definitely possible. He's playing against the Buffalo Bills, his former team last season. Even though it was just 1 year, I believe he has some good memories with the Buffalo Bills and with those teammates, and I think he's going to come riled up and prepared to play. So anything's possible out of especially Mac Hollins, but Stephon Diggs is a guy that, in my opinion, he may get booed and. I wouldn't be mad at it, and I think he's still a scary player for the Buffalo Bills that they have to defend throughout the course of the game.
All right, Roy Collins comes in and says that he doesn't think that Diggs is a Hall of Famer. Do you want to plead your case here, or what do you think?
Oh man! All right, let's take a quick look. Let's take a quick look at Stephon Diggs. I don't know. I think it's going to be close. I think Stephon Diggs. 4-time Pro Bowler, 1-time All-Pro player. He had 1,000 straight seasons, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,000 yards seasons, 10,000 career receiving yards, approaching 11,000 career receiving yards. I believe he's going to be close. I'm not sure if he'll get in, but I believe he'll be close.
I mean, undoubtedly that 4-year stretch. If you just look at the production of everything. And you can say what you want about postseason and stuff like that, where he seemed to sometimes just disappear. But his production as a Buffalo Bill for 4 years was top 3 in the NFL as far as targets, receptions, yards, touchdowns, all that stuff. So, again, I mean, it looked like the first couple games for Diggs in the Patriots, it looked like he was just kind of getting eased into the playbook. He obviously coming back off that injury that he had last year that sidelined him for most of the season last year. But last week, I mean, yes, it was against the Panthers. He had a big game. He had 6 receptions, 101 yards. Doesn't have a touchdown in the season, but he does have 19 receptions, 213 yards. I don't know if he's transitioning into more of a slot wide receiver in that offense. But I think that for Drake May, this is a guy, he's reliable. He barely ever drops passes. So as far as from a defensive standpoint for the Bills tomorrow night, what do you think that should be the goal for Stephon Diggs? Should it be Taron Johnson? Should it be where they just see where he lines up? Are the Bills going to be able to cover him with, he's I wouldn't say he's still elite route running, but he's top notch route running still. Mm-hmm. So what's your thoughts? I mean, is this something that the Bills need to be worried about, concerned with? Is it just because he had played the Panthers and a couple other bad teams? Like, what's your thoughts on what you think Diggs might do tomorrow?
I think that the Patriots know the history of Stephon Diggs. They know that he was on the Buffalo Bills. So number one, I wouldn't be surprised if they make him an honorary captain before the game. He's one of the guys, maybe along with Matt Collins. That's what I do, at least.
Yeah.
Matt Collins and Stephon Diggs both being honorary captains before the game. But I think Stephon Diggs is definitely capable of doing some damage in this game. I think that when we look at our cornerback and our secondary situation, our team as an entire defensive unit, I think we struggle at times getting to the passer. So it's going to be especially important for our pass rush to affect Drake May. Don't have him sit back in the pocket or climb up in the pocket and be effective, because if you let him do that, he definitely will do so. I think Christian Benford has some struggles. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he's given up a touchdown in every game this season, and I don't think Stephon Diggs is going to be any easier of a task for a Christian Benford or wherever he lines up. So I think Stephon Diggs is going to be especially prepared and ready to get up for this game in front of this crowd. I know the Buffalo Bills played them last year, but it was in Houston. There was definitely emotions there, but it was a little bit different. It was during the day. It wasn't prime time. This game is in Buffalo, prime time football. The entire world is going to be watching. So I think Stephon Diggs can definitely play a factor if we let him do so. And I think Drake May is going to be looking for Stephon Diggs. If I'm not mistaken, he had over 100 yards receiving last week. So they look like they're starting to build that chemistry. And I know Stephon Diggs talked about how comfortable he was in the offense thus far. And it's about a 5. Let's not get 8 or 9 when they play the Bills, right? So let's try to be mindful of who he is, contain him, because I believe he will definitely be up for this game more than the past games he had this season.
I saw a comment from John Robert talking about Drake May's he's been sacked 13 times. So I don't know, and we can get into this later on when we talk about the Bills and the defense. But as far as Drake May, you brought him up. Like, I've seen all week the statistical comparisons between Josh Allen and Drake May, and it's identical. And should Drake May be in the MVP conversation? And all these delusional Patriots fans, because he's had a good 4-game stretch.
Whoa.
It's just if you look at the stats and you look at how these teams perform offensively, you would understand why Josh Allen's stats are the same as Drake May's, because the Bills are a heavy run dominant offense. And they have a guy in James Cook who is pushing his way into the top 3 ranking category as far as I'm concerned, as far as running backs. But let's talk about Drake May for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
He does look good. I think there was a lot of promise that people saw last year. I feel like the Patriots might have actually got their guy. Obviously, Mac Jones didn't work out, even though he's balling for the 49ers right now. But what's your thoughts on Drake May? Is this something that the Bills need to be concerned with? Because we talk about rookie or young second or third year quarterbacks and how they perform against Sean McDermott's defense. But we haven't seen the prototypical Sean McDermott defense yet. I heavy emphasis on yet this season. So what's your thoughts on Drake May so far? Not last year, but this year. And you think this is a concern for the Bills, as good as he's been playing so far up to this point?
Yeah, I do think this is a concern for the Bills. Me personally, I'm concerned about this game. This is the one game that it's like, okay, when everybody talk about the Bills and the schedule and it being easy, first of all, as the NFL, we don't control the schedule, and the opposition gets paid millions of dollars as well, right? And I think I love the fact that we found a way to win despite some struggles against New Orleans Saints. But that is a trickle effect to my cause of concern, playing the way we played last week, playing against the Patriots this week. I think Drake May is a calm, cool, and collective quarterback for his second year. He has the moxie that you like and what you look for. Is a quiet moxie, but you can tell is there. I think he has sneaky good mobility. I think he has pocket awareness and a pocket presence to understand when and feel when there's a rush around him and know to escape that pocket and get out and run. And he also know and have the awareness to keep his eyes downfield to make a play. I think he can make every throw. I believe he does a good job delivering the football. I believe they're 7th in passing yards. I got to double check, but I believe they're in the top 10 in passing in the NFL. And that's pretty impressive coming from a second-year quarterback in Drake May. So I like everything I've seen thus far in Drake, and it's definitely a concern. Now, he's been sacked 13 times this season. That's cool, but it wasn't with us. Can we get to him? Can the Buffalo Bills pass rush affect Drake May? It doesn't matter if he was sacked 25 times or 3 times. Can the Buffalo Bills D line establish some penetration in a pass rush and affect Drake May? Because if he's sitting there and he has time to make the throw and he has that pocket awareness where he has the availability and escapability to do the things I saw in previous games, he can definitely do so against the Bills, and I have some concerns.
I agree with you for the most part. I feel like last year we give all rookie quarterbacks a pass, right? Because the team is basically rebuilding when they draft the quote unquote guy, right? So last year didn't have a ton of weapons, looked decent with that caliber of wide receivers and tight ends. I haven't seen anything far short of a few plays this year that I was like, wow, that was a really like off the charts play. And the Patriots offense had 5 turnovers against the Steelers. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen every week, but the Bills are a team that can create turnovers. And we're going to get more into this when we get into the keys of the game. But to me, being sacked 13 times in 4 games is an issue. And when we talk about Josh Allen and the fact that he got banged up a little bit against the Saints, which we don't like to see. Obviously, Spencer Brown was out, and that's where a lot of the pressure was coming from. But to me, I don't see the ability of Drake May to beat us with his feet. I think the Bills need to contain him and cover, and if they can do that, I think we'll be okay. The 13 sacks to me is a direct reflection of the Patriots' offensive line as well, and we talk about. I feel like a broken record here, but we said it against the Jets. We said it against the Dolphins. I said it against the Saints. Like, this feels like a week where the Bills pass rush finally gets home. Now, we'll have to wait till tomorrow to see that, but I don't know. I think with a young quarterback in a big moment, like you said, Josh Allen's 15-4 in primetime now after the 2 wins this season. I think Sean McDermott's going to have those guys up and ready. He seems to always have those moments where we are concerned, and then he kind of puts us at ease a little bit. Now, from what we've seen, minus the Jets game, there's not a lot for me to give you a whole bunch of notes and say, okay, this is going to be a Sean McDermott, PowerPoint presentation on how to shut down a young quarterback. But I feel like this is a big game, not just for the Patriots. This is a big game for the Bills. And here's why I say that.
It's huge.
If the Bills win, they are essentially 4 games up minimum on everybody. The Dolphins beat the Jets. And if you beat the Patriots, you have the head-to-head on all 3 of those teams. You're 5-0. The most wins any of those teams will have is 2, and you beat all of them. So you're essentially 3 plus the tiebreaker on all of them. You know that locker room knows that coaching staff knows that, and they're going to try to put forth a game plan and a scheme to try to just instill their will on this team. And I feel like on paper, sure, the Patriots look like they're ascending. They have a nice coach who is a hard-nosed football coach, and his guys play up for it. But to me, and this is going back to Drake May, like I feel like this is a big moment. And how many big moments has Drake May been in his career? Josh lives for this. The Bills unveiling the whiteout uniforms on Sunday Night Football, and the stadium's going to be ridiculous. I feel like it's setting up like a big wall for the Patriots, and the Bills just need to go play clean football. And that starts with getting the young quarterback off his game early. And that's that's what I want to see. And hopefully some sacks early or some pressures early, a turnover too early, and that'll kind of lead into what the Bills offense can do to kind of control this game. So anything else about Diggs or May or the Patriots offense before we get way into, keys of the game and stuff like that?
I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna save it for the key to the game. Keys to the game. So we're good for now.
All right. So let's talk about James Cook. Other than the fact that, what's your take on? And we'll talk about the comparison to Shady McCoy here in a minute. But what's your take overall on James Cook? Because this just popped into my head. He's doing things statistically that a Buffalo Bills running back hasn't done. He scored a touchdown in his 8th consecutive game. He's on pace for, I think, almost 20 touchdowns just rushing, averaging 5.3 yards per carry. If you stack that up, and I put a tweet out earlier this week, stacking him up against, the likes of Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry and all these other guys that make the big money and were, tier 1 last year. And James Cook is performing really well. So what's your thoughts on his season so far? And is this something that's sustainable? We kind of touched on it last week a little bit. Is this something sustainable? And do the Bills ultimately have 2 ultra high caliber offensive weapons now in Josh Allen and James Cook?
The Buffalo Bills absolutely have 2 Pro Bowl, possibly even all pro caliber weapons. Now that I want to include James Cook's touchdown in 8 straight games. We talked about if this is sustainable. I think it is. I don't think that, now, of course, is he's getting more touches and more usage than previous years. Absolutely. He went up from 48% in 2023 to 55% in 2024. I think he's about 60% in 2025. I don't think, and now if he was at 76%, then I'd be like, you know what? I don't know if this
slow down.
I don't know if this is sustainable. We're talking about a 5% increase, and we're talking about a player that doesn't have the Adrian Peterson, Derrick Henry build, but
Right.
he doesn't have the Adrian Peterson, Derrick Henry mileage either throughout the course of his lifetime since college. He hasn't been a workhorse back. He hasn't been a guy that get 300 carries a season. So I absolutely think the uptick to 60% snap increase is indeed sustainable for James Cook, and I believe he can have goal line work between the tackles, work every part of the football field as opposed to coming out like he did some in the past. Now, do you want to work in Ray Davis and do you want to work in Ty Johnson? Absolutely. Why you want to work them in? Because you do want to spell James Cook, and you do have talented players, probably not to the magnitude of James Cook, but Ray Davis and especially Ty Johnson in third down situations are both talented players. So you want to find a way to incorporate them to give James Cook a spell and incorporate them with James Cook as well to give the opposition different looks. So is it sustainable? Absolutely. I think James Cook is one of the best running backs in this NFL. Top 3 this season, definitely.
I did want to ask you, and I agree with just about everything that you said. I wanted to ask you, is it a coincidence? And I think you tried to push this topic a couple weeks ago. Is it a coincidence that the snap count's gone up? We've seen less of Ray Davis and Ty Johnson. Is it a coincidence that he's now making 12+ mil a year AAV, and he's now, we didn't see him get a lot of those goal line, and it's early, it's been 4 games, but a lot of those goal line rushing attempts typically were just meant for Josh. Like they didn't even try to turn around and just hand it to him 4 times. Like, so do you think it's a coincidence, or is it that just if it's not broke, don't try to fix it? It's working. Just keep giving him the ball when you can. Because I've seen him in there on third down. I've seen him in there in 2-minute drill and 4-minute drill. Like, so what's your thoughts on that?
If you continue to eat off the plate that I give you, then I'm going to keep feeding you this plate. Right. So meaning Curtis Samuel get paid a significant amount of money at the receiver position for the Bills. but he's not eating off his plate like he should. So the Buffalo Bills, if he's not going to be producing, the Buffalo Bills really don't give a damn how much you making. We've seen it in a number of occasions, and Curtis Samuel is the latest example of that. If you're not producing, if you can't stay healthy, then we're not going to feed you because we don't know if you're capable of eating that plate. James Cook, on the other hand, he's producing, right?
Yeah.
We giving him the ball, we giving him responsibilities, and he's taking that responsibility, he's upholding that responsibilities, and he's producing. And we feed him more, and he continues to produce. Now, if he fumbled, or if he struggled, or if he had any type of inconsistent moments, I don't believe he would have got the touches he got. So the Buffalo Bills not only paid him and is giving him more responsibility, but he is showing why he deserves to get paid and living up to the responsibilities given to him.
I agree with you. I one thing I do want to see, I want to see more targets. I want to see him in the passing game. I want to see him get more involved in the passing game, because I feel like that's coming out of college from Georgia. We were sold, and we've seen little glimpses of what he can do. Obviously, that big catch he had against the Ravens was nice. I want to see more targets in the passing game, and I think that just helps Josh. Like if he has another security blanket that's just out in the flat or across the middle or whatever it is, that's kind of what I want to see. So I brought up the topic, and I didn't put it on social media or anything. I just kind of put it in our Built in Buffalo group chat. Is James Cook better than 𝐿eSean McCoy when 𝐿eSean McCoy was in Buffalo? Just take Philadelphia out of the conversation. Just their time. They've both been. I mean, Cook's in his 4th year. Shady was here 4 years. Obviously, Shady came to the Bills. I believe it was either his 6th or his 7th season was with the Bills. And it was kind of split down the middle, I feel like, our conversation. So I'll ask you, and then I'll kind of, give my feedback on what I think is, because if you guys aren't, if you're new here, or if you don't know me or don't follow me at all, like 𝐿eSean McCoy is one of my favorite Buffalo Bills of all time. I loved his game. I thought it was a huge addition to the team. I felt like he could do everything. I just liked him as a person. Some people don't. I liked him as a person. He was a big superstar that we got when we weren't really getting big superstars at the time. So I really enjoyed his game. Plus, I liked him when he was with the Eagles and in Pittsburgh in college. So, Akeem, is James Cook at this point in his career, the 3.5 seasons that he's played with the Bills, is he better than 𝐿eSean McCoy was with the Bills for his 4 years?
If he finished this season like he's starting this season, absolutely. Yes, sir. I think James Cook has proven that during the Buffalo stint. Now, obviously, Shady McCoy is, in my opinion, a first ballot Hall of Fame back. He's one of my favorite backs as well. But for the 4 years with the Buffalo Bills, I absolutely think, especially if James Cook finished this season out the way he's starting, I think he would be the better Buffalo Bill. The best Shady seasons was 2016, 2017. 2016, he had 234 attempts, 1,267 yards, 13 touchdowns. 287 attempts, 1,138 yards, 6 touchdowns. 2016, 2017, he played in 66% and 68% of the snaps for the Buffalo Bills. The last 2 seasons for James Cook, he had 237 attempts, 1,122 yards, only played in 55% of the snaps. Last year, only played in 48% of the snaps with 16 touchdowns, 1,009 yards, and 207 attempts. So if I was to think, if James Cook got 68% of the snaps for the Bills, I think he would greatly surpass 𝐿eSean McCoy's numbers. And 𝐿eSean McCoy was an excellent player, but his first year he had under 1,000 yards, 890 something yards, I believe. And the last year for the Buffalo Bills, he only had 514 yards. That's equivalent to James Cook's rookie year.
Season,
yep. So if James Cook finishes out this season strong and healthy, he would surpass Shady McCoy, in my opinion, as the better Buffalo Bills running back.
I agree too. And if you look at, and I love 𝐿eSean McCoy. I just feel like his last year, obviously, I think it's a wash because I think the writing was kind of on the wall there. But if you look at James Cook's average per carry and average per touch, it's hands down better. I think Shady's average when he was here is like 4.3 or 4.4, something like that. Cook's over 5 for his career. It's just Shady had remarkable vision, and obviously the cut on the dime whole moniker was for a reason. Like he could make, if in open space, he would make anybody miss. And I feel like watching James Cook the last season plus 4 games of this year, his vision has gotten elite. If you go back and you watch, if you have all 22, or if you can rewatch games and you just watch James Cook, don't watch the other stuff. Just watch what he does when he gets to the line of scrimmage and what he's able to see and do with his body just to find a sliver or a crack and then get through. It's remarkable. And I feel like he's going to have a very special season. And I hope that trending in the way that he's trending, he should be a first team All-Pro at this point, and definitely one of the top 3 backs, like we alluded to earlier.
Now,
yeah, go ahead.
Let me ask you a question. Now, do we look at the entire grand scheme of things when we have this conversation, right? Because I know, we like to, everybody like the stats, like the statistics, but what about the rest of the nuances in football, right? James Cook has Josh Allen. How much, how much can we take to that? Everybody knew who did Shady McCoy have? Shady McCoy didn't have the quarterback to the caliber of Josh Allen.
True.
I think Shady McCoy, when you played the Buffalo Bills during that time, everybody knew that was the guy you have to key in on. You have to stop Shady, and everybody knowing that, and the success he still had has to be pretty impressive. So do you look at that at all, or are we just thinking about the numbers and statistics?
I think it's hard too, because Shady's offensive line was a lot worse. I mean, we can all agree on that, right? Because that even carried into Josh's first couple of years. The offensive line was atrocious. There was a couple of decent players there, but there was also different schemes, right? I mean, we had Greg Roman here was Rex's offensive coordinator. So it's like, I feel like scheme wise, what Joe Brady's doing is different than what the Bills did with Shady. So, I mean, yeah, I guess having Josh would help because he kind of warrants a ton of attention, but still, to me, it's all about the presence of what the guys can do in the backfield before they get to the line of scrimmage, the yards before contact and the yards after contact and things like that. But I do agree with you, and I will say that that's a fair argument for LeSean McCoy, is that he was playing with Tyrod Taylor. No knock on Tyrod Taylor, but he's a career backup quarterback. He was playing with 5 offensive linemen that were different all the time. I think one year when Shady was here, I think they had different offensive line combinations, like 15 or 16 games out of the season, where they just didn't have the same starting pieces in the same spot. So, later on, he had Josh for Josh's rookie year. And then he, obviously 2019, but that's a fair point. But to me, I see LeSean McCoy, when he got here, you could tell that the tread was starting to wear. Towards the second to last season, you could tell it was starting to wear a little bit. Then his last season, I felt like he almost fell off a cliff at the running back age. James Cook obviously is younger, right? So he's still ascending. And when I watched Cook, it's like he just glides. Like it's just effortlessly when he gets out in space, he's just gliding. And there's a couple plays, one against the Dolphins, where he cut to the left and he got past the initial line of contact. And I don't know how he was able to get around the corner as fast as he was. You go back to the 49ers game last year in the snow, how he was able to cut around the corner and just be gone as fast as he was remarkable. And I've already seen against the Saints, there was a couple plays when I don't know how he got through the line. Like the line, the blocking schemes were bad and he just made it work. He figured out what crack to get through and he just got outside for like a 13 or 15 yard run. So I think they're both great running backs. I feel like the sky's the limit for James Cook. Now, my question back to you, and this will be a telling sign of James Cook, is what happens if Joe Brady leaves? And I don't want to go down this rabbit hole of Joe Brady leaving again, because that derailed one of our shows already. But if Joe Brady leaves, does the offense go back to Cook's 40 to 45%? And then We have Ty Johnson next year. We have Ray Davis next year. Like, did the Bills scheme change? Does that mean different touches for Cook? Does that mean different packages with him in it? Like, what's your thoughts on that? Are you concerned that a running back should just be able to, have transitional skills into whatever playbook is being called and they're just going to do their thing? What's your thoughts?
That's always a concern because if and when Joe Brady do leave, the scheme is going to change somewhat. Right now, it all depends on the type of offensive coordinator you have. Do you have the offensive coordinator? And I don't think there are many coordinators like this, but I do think they are out there. Do you have the offensive coordinator that is going to see what worked and continue utilize what's working and maximize the skill sets he do have on the team and kind of mold his playbook into what he has? Or are we going to get the type of offensive coordinator that's has his implemented system that he has everywhere he's been or everywhere he goes, and it doesn't matter where player A and player B and player X and player Y, where they had their success at? You're playing in my system, and now it's my structure, so you're going to have to get adjusted to my scheme. So I think it all depends on the next offensive coordinator and what direction he decides to go from there. But 9 times out of 10, usually they lean to their scheme, and their scheme is usually differentiates from the scheme they had prior.
And the only reason why I ask you that is because
Look at the Philadelphia Eagles. Sorry to cut you off. Look at the Philadelphia Eagles. Kellen Moore goes over to the New Orleans Saints, and they're undefeated a team as well, but they're having struggles getting the ball on the outside to AJ Brown
Right.
and Devonta Smith. And that's because I think that's the new offensive coordinator is still trying to find ways to get his scheme to mesh with the players on the outside and get them the ball. Right.
I agree.
So,
and then you could look at the Detroit Lions, and they're scoring 40 points a game. So it goes both ways. But I say that about Joe Brady because what stands out to me is 2 things. The Dallas game 2 years ago after Ken Dorsey was fired, and James Cook, that was 2 years ago, right? Yeah. James Cook went off. That was the game he had like 176 rushing yards, like 40 yards receiving. I think he had 3 touchdowns. And then if you look at last year, James Cook had all those touchdowns, which obviously it seems like right now it's not an outlier, was the first full season of Joe Brady. James Cook, now he has to execute, right? James Cook has to break those long runs. That's not Joe Brady breaking long runs, but what I'm saying, it's blocking schemes, it's offensive structure, it's play calling, things like that. So to me, if I'm looking at, because James Cook's part of the future now, 4-year extension, so he's going to be here, whoever's here next year. I just hope that the offense doesn't get, because we talked about how this could affect Josh Allen too, and they might become more of a passing team. That directly reflects James Cook, or like he's getting less touches. So it's going to be really interesting to see. I don't want to go down a rabbit hole of talking about stuff in the future. I want to keep it in the here and now, but it's something to think about how good he was last year, how good he was when Joe Brady took over, and the Bills kind of switched to an more balanced running, passing offense, and now what they're doing this year. They lead the league. They lead the NFL in rushing yards. Who would have ever thought that, right? So it's just something to think about in the future. So, all right, you want to talk about the Bills' injuries, because there's plenty of them.
Yeah, unfortunately.
All right, this is no, go ahead.
I'm most concerned with the Dorian Strong injury. The neck injury. I think 𝐷𝐷𝐿 from the Baltimore Ravens, he had a neck injury. He went on IR. I think he was missing 4 games. Then boom, he's out for the rest of the season. And now I think they're talking about his career. May be in jeopardy. So when you see the neck injury from Dorian Strong, that's what on this list concerns me the most.
You know what I thought of when I saw the neck injury was Micah Hyde. That's the first thing I thought of. That was the first. Now he's younger, doesn't have as much wear and tear and collisions that Micah Hyde had, but that's the first thing that popped up. Plus he plays in the secondary. So to me, That right there. Plus, he was an ascending player. I feel like he was getting more and more push in reps and pushing for playing time as the season progressed because of the Maxwell Hairston situation. So here's the injury report. This is from Friday. This is from yesterday. This is the most recent one. Nothing's really changed today. Obviously, Dorian Strong and Dorian Williams are out. That the only thing that changed with that is that the Bills put Dorian Strong on IR. If you guys don't know now, you know that. Joey Bosa, obviously, I don't know why he's on here. He had a vet rest day, but concerning to me, and when we can kind of break this down many different ways. I don't want to see Josh Allen get hit as many times as I saw him get hit last week. Now, I know he's Josh Allen and he does magical things in the pocket when plays break down and the blocking schemes aren't working and whatever it is, but we need Spencer Brown. And I'm not saying rush him back. This is a calf injury. This is not related to his back, so this is something different. And I think they sat him because it was the Saints, if I have to be honest. It was the Saints, and they were just going to say, okay, we're going to put Ryan Vandemark in there, and we're going to see what happens. Ryan Vandemark looked horrible. I'm sorry, he just did. So what's your thoughts on, and we'll go through each of these guys. What's your thoughts on Spencer Brown? Because I'm concerned if he doesn't play against the Patriots, who have a fairly decent defensive line, and I don't want to see Josh being pressured nearly as much as he was last week. What's your thoughts?
I think Spencer Brown is definitely going to be something that we have to monitor in terms of when that active inactive list comes to play. We're hoping that Spencer Brown can play. I think Spencer Brown, between the 5 offensive linemen, is not only a good pass protector for Josh Allen. I think he is the best run blocker.
Agreed.
On the team as well. And you're going to need your best run blocker when you're facing a team that's allowing 77.5 rush yards per game, second in the NFL. That's allowing only 3.3 yards per rush, second in the NFL, right? So when you have an identity of establishing the run and you're facing a team that matches that strength and stopping the run, you definitely want to have your best offensive lineman as a run blocker in there to keep your identity as a strength in that game in particular. So I'm hoping that Spencer Brown is going to be well enough to play. And if I had to take a guess, I think he plays.
Yeah, I thought he was going to play last week. I mean, he was interviewed Friday before the game, and he said, I'm ready to go. So again, maybe the Bills just being stubborn and McDermott being, cautious like he always is about injuries and recovery and stuff like that. So the two defensive tackles, because we'll talk about the elevations from the practice squad here in a sec, but Ed Oliver and TJ Sanders. Now, TJ Sanders popped up this week. Ed Oliver's been dealing with this I got my foot squashed stuff for it seems like forever now. So Ed Oliver wasn't placed on the IR this week, which is good, or last week, which is good, which means he's close. But what concerns me is that Zion Logue and Fedorian Mathis, both defensive tackles, were elevated from the practice squad. So to me, that means either one or two of those guys is now playing, Ed Oliver or TJ Sanders. What's your thoughts on the defensive tackle position? Because it's been our Achilles heel all season.
And
that's what this team like went out this offseason and said, we're going to get better defensive tackles, no matter if it's the draft or free agency. One guy's suspended, 2 guys are rookies, 1 guy's now injured, 1 guy's our stalwart defensive tackle, he's injured. Like, I don't know what's with the defensive tackle position in the Bills, but anyways, sorry, carry on.
You're good. You're good.
It's frustrating.
It's definitely frustrating, and for this game, I think it's concerning. I think it's concerning not to have, if possible, if we're reading between the tea leaves correctly, when you have both of those defensive tackles come up, it's definitely a high possibility that both TJ Sanders and Ed Oliver may be MIA for this game. So when I think about how the defense is played, and I think about the starters that we need to make an impact on this game not being there, especially in the trenches, I'm concerned. I'm definitely concerned because, like, players got to play the game, but the coaches have to coach as well. And I still, again, the it's still out. The jury is
The
still
jury
out.
still out.
Is on Bobby Babish. So
Maybe
I have concerns.
maybe it's a hung jury. I don't know. I feel like every week I'm saying it's going to come together. McDermott's going to get this team ready to go. It's going to come together. And I said it earlier in the show. Like at some point, I got to be right. Like I got to be right that our coach, who's a defensive guru, is going to get this team ready to play. Right. And it doesn't seem like, if I feel like watching the defensive line, it's a different guy struggling every week, but then it's a different guy that's flashing every week. Like Deion Walker flashes, and then TJ Sanders will flash, and then last week Daquan Jones flashed, and Joey Bosa will flash, and like it's just very frustrating. I'm waiting for, even Jordan Phillips had a couple plays. Like I'm just waiting for, and maybe it's Larry Ogunjobi and Michael Hoyt. I don't know. Maybe Ed Oliver comes back. So I think Oliver plays. Honestly, I don't think TJ Sanders is played because the injury's fresh. I think Ed Oliver plays. I feel like this is a game. It's a division rival. It's not the Saints. It's not the Jets. You can put a stranglehold. Like I said earlier, you can put a stranglehold on this division. Like you can wrap things up before the second week of October, essentially, because I don't feel like any of these teams can, climb the mountain of a 3-game, almost 4-game disadvantage with the tiebreakers. I don't feel like that. So do you think that the coaching staff is approaching this as a must-win game? If you look at it on paper and we talk about strength of schedule and the Patriots are 2-2 and it should be big brother, little brother. We've owned the division for 5 years. They haven't been able to beat us, yada, yada, yada. What's your thoughts from a coaching standpoint? And then we can get back in. There's a couple more injury nuggets I want to talk about.
I don't think they're looking at it as necessarily a must-win game. Of course, when in retrospect, every game is technically a must-win game. You want to win every game, but I don't think when you really look and deep dive into it, they're looking at it as a must-win game. They're looking at it as a game that, of course, you want to win. I think they're looking even past the AFC East. You want to win these games because you want that number 1 seed.
Right.
You want to be, AFC East champ, but also you want that bye and you want the Super Bowl to go through Buffalo. I think that is definitely important. And I think that's been the goal for Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane since they came to Buffalo. But I don't think they're looking at this game necessarily and say, yo, we have to beat the Patriots so we can get the stranglehold. We would love to do it. We want to do it. We're excited to do it, but I don't think it's a must win. Even though, knock on wood, if we was to lose this game, I don't think we will. But if we were to lose this game, I still think we would be in pretty damn good position as long as we take care of business down the road.
I just feel like you got the Chiefs who are 2-2. I'm not going to talk about the Ravens because I don't know what's going on with Lamar and the extent of that. But you come off a week where the Chargers lost to the Giants, and you have the 1 seed. I feel like when I say must win, I feel like just keep stacking those wins until they can't catch you anymore. You know what I mean? Because the Chiefs have to play pretty flawless down the stretch. Yes, they're 2 games behind the Bills, but they're also 2 games with the tiebreaker behind the Chargers. So they have to catch up to their division first. And then who else is it in the AFC that's concerning? The Bengals are going backwards. Is there any other teams besides maybe if the Ravens get Lamar back and start figuring things out that they could, come out of nowhere? Like what's your thoughts there?
We spoke about the Chiefs last week and kind of like looking ahead of them. And I think I said last week, we have to actually beat them and dethrone them ourselves.
Yeah.
I feel that exact same way this week. I think it's the Chiefs. I think this is a Chiefs team, even though, they had their struggles. I think they have the coaching staff and Andy Reid and Spags to turn things around and get better as the season progresses. And You know, they look pretty damn good against the Baltimore Ravens. Now, albeit everybody has looked pretty damn good against the Baltimore Ravens. So we'll see what happens
Right.
in their game this Monday, I believe, against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah.
But, you know, Xavier Worthy is back. Rashee Rice is coming back soon. You know, that defense, I think, will get better. The Chiefs is going to be there somewhere in the way when it's time to really play.
Right.
And I think that's the team we got to get through.
Right. All right. I like it. So Matt Milano looked pretty good in practice last week. Looked pretty good in practice this week. Dorian Williams has already been ruled out. Matt Milano is questionable. The Bills elevated Jimmy Charlo. What's your thoughts at the linebacker position? Is this a game where they need to try to get Milano back in there? Or, I mean, Shaq Thompson, you still have, Terrell Bernard. Like, what's
Yeah.
your thoughts there?
Uh first of all, I like Charlo. I would like to see if he gets, first of all, is he on the active 46 roster? And if he gets
Right.
part of the rotation, but uh Dorian Williams being out is a little bummer. I think he did struggle at times when he was healthy. I like what Shaq Thompson has been able to do. I think, when the Buffalo Bills do make some pop plays on defense, I believe he's been in several of them. So I really like the performance that I've seen thus far of Shaq Thompson, and Terrell Bernard has to continue to be instinctive and proactive in terms of reading and reacting and attacking the football. But overall, I hope Matt Milano plays. I think his presence is indeed needed, even if it's not the same Matt Milano from a few years ago. I believe his presence is needed for the Buffalo Bills, an influx in that defense, especially with the defensive tackles being down. I think would be a needed thing for the Buffalo Bills to inject some juice in their defense with Matt Milano's presence.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you always want Matt Milano. I don't want it to be rushed back because we need Matt Milano in December and
Hmm.
January and excuse me, and hopefully in
Hmm.
February. All right, so let's get to keys to the game. So I have two, and I feel like it's the same two I've been saying every game since week one, because you want the Patriots to chase you. You want the Patriots to try to become one dimensional because of how the Bills play against the run. You want to try to outscore your opponent. So to me, my thing is score early and often. We've seen that the Bills have been able to do that. They've scored an opening drive touchdown every game this year. The first quarter against the Saints was beautiful. The second quarter was ugly. They just need to be more consistent on offense. Excuse me. They need to be more consistent on offense as far as turning drives into points. Um, and then another thing is we talked about the turnovers from the Patriots. The Bills are +3. The Patriots are -3. The Bills are number 5. The Patriots are the bottom of the league, are towards the bottom of the league in turnovers. So if the Bills can win the turnover battle, obviously your chances are really good. But if the Bills can force some turnovers, the Bills can force turnovers early. Maybe that's a key to just kind of keep the offense rolling, keep Drake May and Stephon Diggs on the sideline. What's your keys to victory? Nope, muted.
Yeah. Key to victory. I'm going to go ahead and try to take a different outlook on this. I'm looking at, obviously, the players, they have to make plays and win the game, but I'm also looking at the coaches as well. I believe our coach, we have to out coach their coaches. More specifically, I believe Bobby Babish has to out coach Josh McDaniels. It's a chess match. I know you spoke about Drake May being a young player and coming into Highmark Stadium. That's going to be a difficult environment for a second-year player, but coaches have to coach as well. And Josh McDaniels is an experienced, very good, he's a shitty head coach, but experienced offensive coordinator that I have concerns because of Bobby Babish. If Bobby Babish is not careful, he could be one step behind all night. And I think, coaching is really a thing here. I've been looking at football throughout the course of the week, right? And I've been trying to analyze other teams, and I'm looking like Mac Jones looked pretty damn good the other night, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mac Jones never looked like that before. Mac Jones has never looked how he looked in San Francisco in prior stops, Jacksonville Jaguars and the New England Patriots. Why does he look the way he looks? He looks the way he looks because the system he's playing in. It's because of the coaching that he has with the San Francisco 49ers. Now, it's the same guy. He doesn't have the greatest arm. He doesn't have the greatest mobility and athletic ability. It's the same guy, but in that system, he's playing as if he is an elite quarterback or an above average quarterback. Coaching matters, right? Everybody wants to know what the hell is going on with the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens defense can't stop nobody, and they have the same players they had for the last couple of seasons, if not better players than the last couple of seasons. You know the difference? The Baltimore Ravens had the #1 ranked defense in 2023 with the same exact players. The difference is the coaching. Mike McDonald moves on to Seattle. He's now coaching the Seahawks. You bring in Zach Orr, and with the same players, now the Ravens can't play defense, right? It's coaching, and this is why I look to Bobby Babbage sometimes. Now I know people are going to say, "Well, it's tackling, and players gotta execute and make players." But it's possible that coaching can affect player positioning and affect the player's impact as well. And based on the other coaches that I see struggling in Zach Orr and other coaches that had Mac Jones. And when you compare that, I'd be like, listen, Bobby Babbage is going to have to coach a hell of a game against Josh McDaniel. He's going to have his players in the proper positions to make plays, and he's going to have to show some resistance throughout the course of the night. If he doesn't, then there's going to be some causes for concerns for the Buffalo Bills, because not only do we cannot get out coached, we're on a shortage of players as well, right? We're playing some bench players and some practice players as well. So Bobby Babbage is going to have to coach a hell of a game tonight for the Buffalo Bills to come away with a victory.
I agree. And you talk about Bobby Babbage, like when you watch the Bills film, and I'm not a film nerd. I'm not one of those all 22, like I can break down every single play and stuff. But when you watch it, it's maddening because Taylor Rapp didn't forget how to tackle. Tre'Davious White didn't forget how to tackle. Like Terrell Bernard didn't just all of a sudden want to take bad angles on every play. Like I feel like if you run into a guy and you can't tackle him, that's on you. But I feel like if you're out of position and you take bad angles and you can't make a tackle because you can't make up the ground, I feel like that's on coaching. Do you agree to an extent?
Absolutely. But it's hard to really pinpoint the coach when all you see is players out there missing tackles and not executing, right?
100%.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
If you see guys taking bad angles on run plays, bad angles on plays out in the flat or over top or whatever it is, are they being put in just
the right position?
Yeah. Are they being put in to be successful? And I'm not blaming Bobby Babbage 100%. And I'm not blaming the players, but there's a marriage there that has to work seamlessly. And I feel like since last year, it has not been Sean McDermott's defense. Like we made fun of Leslie Frazier. We bitched about 13 seconds. We talked about McDermott in the postseason. But one thing was for sure, during the regular season, Sean McDermott and Leslie Frazier had this defense ready every week. We were sick of the bend but don't break, but it didn't give up big plays. It didn't give up big scores. It didn't give up a ton of yards. It got to a point where we made fun of it in our group chat when a team had a 15-play drive that got down to the 6-yard line. We would say, it's okay, they're just going to get a field goal, and that's what would happen. Now, I'm concerned whenever teams start amassing these drives that we just can't put a stop to it. And that's what concerns me about a team like the New England Patriots, because if you give them any sort of confidence, it's going to boost the morale. And we all know the ebbs and flows of a football game. And if it's all based off of who's made the last play, and it's just, I don't know. So like I said, to me, we need to get at Drake May early. We need to not let him sit back there and just let receivers run for 5, 6, 7 seconds because he'll find somebody open because we have Tre'Davious White, no knock on him, but he's looked hit or miss. Christian Benford's looked hit or miss. And then we have Cole Bishop and Taylor Rapp back there. I mean, Taron Johnson's there, but we just have to get after the quarterback. So to me, we need to get some turnovers early because the turnovers seemingly have been coming later in the game. And obviously, yes, the defense gets them when they get them, but score early, score often, make it a boat race, like I like to say. And I don't think they have the offense and the dogs to keep up with the Bills. So anything else, keys to victory or things like that?
I like that a lot. I like it a lot. Run the football.
Yeah.
Do what you're the number one rushing team in the NFL. So it's strength on strength tomorrow. I believe they're second in the NFL in stopping the run. Who's going to win that battle? I think
Right.
if the Buffalo Bills, even if they're not having the success they are accustomed to having through in previous games, they have to continue to stick with that identity, and hopefully they're going to start opening things up. So the Buffalo Bills continue to run the football. Don't divvy away from your identity, and of course protect the football. I think Josh Allen, he got the ball picked off last week. He had the ball tipped on another one where it probably should have been picked off again. Let's reel it back in and protect that football, and I think we'll be fine.
Is it funny that they were going, and it has nothing to do with us, but we bitched and complained about the downfield vertical passing, and then this is the week that Joe Brady opens it up against the Saints. Josh starts chucking the ball downfield, and look what happens, a turnover. So he's probably like, no, we're taking that play out of the playbook. I mean, it was a hell of a play by the Saints DB.
It was. It absolutely was.
I don't know if KeeOn would have caught that, but it was a hell of a play.
It was a hell of a play.
You talk about the Pats rush defense. The Pats pass defense is 24th in the NFL. The Bills is 7th. The Bills pass offense is 7th. So that might be something because I think coaching wise, they're probably thinking they got James Cook, they got Josh Allen. They like to do this stuff with Elijah Moore. Samuel was active last week. Who knows if he's going to be active this week? They can do things running the ball. So maybe this is a week where we see more of a passing attack. Not that I'm not saying we need it, but just looking on paper, the Patriots aren't good against the pass. They don't get after the quarterback. In the secondary hasn't been great. So I don't know. We'll see. I would just like a controlled game. Like, I don't care. I'm the type of guy that if the Bills win the Super Bowl and Josh Allen has 105 passing yards, I really don't care. Just win. Just win. Just keep winning. Just keep winning. So you got to score predictions, and then we'll get out of here. What's your thoughts on the final score here?
I think it's going to be a pretty good game tomorrow. I think it's going to be some back and forth involved. Ultimately, I believe the Buffalo Bills will win by a score of 31-27.
Ooh,
Bills.
Close. Is it close all the way, you think?
I think so. Yeah. I think it's gonna be some lead changes involved. I have some concerns about this game. I'm not sleeping on the Patriots. I think it's going to be closer than maybe what some people expect. 31-27 Bills.
Yeah, I feel like the Patriots have played the Bills well relatively, like lately. I feel like they're kind of becoming what the Jets were a couple years ago. They just always gave the Bills fits. And now it's an ascending team. They have, and I hate to say, I think they have the right head coach. I think that they have the right quarterback. I think that they're doing the right thing defensively, and they're going to try to build that back up. So to me, I still think the Bills win by 10 points. I think it's more of they're going to score 30 again because they're going to score 30. I feel like every game of the season. I feel like it's 31-21 in that area, 31-20, 31-21. And I do feel like it's an uncomfortable game. I feel like obviously my keys to victory are score often and create turnovers. But if that doesn't happen, it's going to be one of those games where it's rock'em sock'em robots. Like, can you take my jab? I'll hit you with an uppercut. And then are you going to hit me with a jab or are you going to hit me with an uppercut? So as long as the defense doesn't give up any big plays, I think we're fine. I feel like I don't think the Patriots offense is built to keep up with the Bills. I feel like it kind of at times. I hate the term playing with your food because everybody seems to be saying that now, and I've been saying that for a couple months now. But I feel like when the Bills wanted to score, they did. When they wanted to just try shit and be cute, that's when things looked hairy and looked kind of weird. But I feel like when they needed to score, they have. And they've won the last 3 games by double digits. And I just feel like watching Josh, and now again, it's the Ravens and it was week 1 and the Ravens are a different team now. But I feel like if Josh needs to, he'll put the cape on. He put the cape on against the Ravens. He put the cape on against the Saints. So I feel like the Bills win by at least 10. But I don't feel like it feels like the Bills won by 10. Do you know what I mean? Like I feel like the Bills are going to, in another boxing analogy, they're going to take a lot of body shots in this game. So hopefully, hopefully that's the case. Akeem's got the Bills winning. I got the Bills winning. You guys drop your score predictions. Before we go, if you haven't smashed the like button, please hit that like button wherever you're watching. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe. Facebook, share. If you're on Twitch, drop a like, some comments. If you're watching on X, please drop some comments, share, do all that good stuff. As always, Akeem, do you want to take us out of here?
Absolutely. Tomorrow, post game,
prime time. Yeah, prime time. I'm always 100% for prime time.
Okay.
100%. Yeah.
Okay. So,
me and you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right.
So once again, DM3, Dave Myers, 𝐸𝐻, Akeem Richens, Built in Buffalo, Billsology. We appreciate everybody for tuning in to tonight's show, previewing the Buffalo Bills and the New England Patriots. We will be back, same 2 pretty faces. We'll be back tomorrow night post game to give you our post games reactions to the Buffalo Bills and New England Patriots game. Hopefully, it's a lot of fun times tomorrow night as opposed to questioning certain things, players and coaches. Hopefully the Buffalo Bills do what they have to do and claim victory tomorrow night. So until then, DM3, 𝐸𝐻, Billsology, ladies and gentlemen, go Bills.
Go Bills.
Let them people know it's time for the show.